Hello and welcome to this week's look at action and stunts on film and television. How are you? Welcome to Friday. You've done it again. Another week under your belt and it's the weekend. It's time for us to check out a classic from 1988. This comes off the back of the new trailer for The Naked Gun, having come out this last week with Liam Neeson starring as Frank Drebin Jr., the son of Frank Drebin, of course, played by the legendary Leslie Neilson. A joyous film. I loved the Naked Gun movies. I loved Police Squad, which was the television series that happened prior. I think it may have come out afterwards over here. I seem to remember the movie coming out, and then in conjunction with that, they started running Police Squad. Was it BBC Two? I think it might have been BBC Two started running it, and it was huge fun. So I was just in love with that. I'd been in love with the Airplane as well. Anything the Zuckers had done, really. That particular kind of humour always appealed to me, and certainly appealed to my mum and dad too. They were always the sort that would have their knees up to their chin and tears rolling down their faces whenever Neilson walked on screen. He took to comedy like a duck took to water. A perfect example of what is going on. The action's very clever too, and we're going to have a look at a couple of situations here from that, and we hope that this will whet your appetite for the film that I think comes out in June or July, maybe at the start of August, possibly, in certain parts of the world, and then later on down the line, when around the summertime, we're going to have a look at 2.5 and 33 1/3 as well. So let's start, as we mean to go on, with Chapter 1, The Naked Gun, from the files of the Police Squad. Here we go. So, The Naked Gun, from the files of the Police Squad. Great thrill. Naked Gun 2.5 and 33 1/3. They were the three great movies. Now this happens. Naked Gun rebooted for reasons better known to somebody else. But we're going to focus on the first movie with the great Leslie Neilson. Nobody did it like he did. It's his moments like this, driving along and then rear ends your man who's fishing. Bosh! And there he goes in the water. I could watch that all day. I think that's just wonderful. The car chase is a major factor in this. This is Bob Heron, and if you think you've seen him before, here's where. So this is stuntman Bobby Heron, doubling Ernest Borgnine, jumping the car in the 1978 movie Convoy. A huge leap of 165 feet from takeoff to landing, but it wasn't supposed to be like this. Director Sam Peckinpah told Bobby, "Whatever you do, don't go short. If you go short, I don't have a shot. Go long if you have to, but just don't go short." So, Bobby is in a 5-point racing harness, but no helmet, as he might get seen on camera. The plan is for him to hit the ramp, go through the billboard, and land in the barn. Well, at 80 miles an hour, he was never going to land in the barn. Stunt coordinator Gary Combs had put 1,000 pounds of additional weight in the boot trunk to stabilize the car in flight, and boy, did it fly. The car was a write-off. Bobby was okay. He had trouble walking for a couple of hours, but apart from that, he was safe and lived to fight another day. So he stops the car and drags out the stunt coordinator, CONRAD PALMISANO. Out he comes. Now, in the background, did you check the background? Because there is Leslie Neilson, but he's shinning his way down the back of a ladder, the fire escape. There he goes. Look, it's the two-man switch. We do it. This movie's full of it. He drops out of... This is Bruce Barber, the stunt man, doubling. He drops down from the ladder, drops down there, and behind the car, then up pops Leslie Neilson. So you do the two-man switch in camera. And it works. It really works. Hide behind the car. I drop down. You jump up. Jobs are good. Stops. Right. Police squad, follow that car. Teen driving school, really? And off goes young Stephanie, right? Doing the best she can. Meanwhile, Bobby Heron, as we know, bit of a decent fella behind the wheel. Go left, I know a shortcut. And he's throwing the car about left, right and centre. She joins him here. And then he starts firing out of the window. I love the fact that she rolls the window up and then gets one in the windscreen and she's hair all over the place. So he drives down the do not enter. She follows him. Now, I appreciate that you wouldn't normally be driving down here. Then the truck turns up, hits the brakes, into reverse, back up the other side. Who's driving the truck? Well, it's stuntman Rick Seaman is the guy, a wonderful driving instructor, often many great gags. Extend your arm and your middle finger, and then the look on his face is brilliant. You go, very good. Go for it, Stephanie. And off she goes, and she gives it the beans. Plenty of tyre spin, front-wheel drive too, look at that. And she floors it, throwing it round corners. Bobby Heron doesn't really stand a chance here, but it's a Ben-Hur moment coming on. Bang! All of a sudden the tyres burst, and then bang! Big explosion. Can't have anybody dying. It's a Naked Gun movie, or if they are going to die, it's got to be amusing. I know, well... steering. He's still steering. I like the idea that he's still steering. And then a blaze goes towards what could possibly go wrong. Oh, a firework factory. Yeah, that would do it. And so, big explosions. Exciting. Lots of stuff. But, as Drebin makes perfectly clear, there is nothing to see here. Please disperse. Good stuff. Searching the apartment. Here's another great example of the two-man switch. This is beautiful. That's Leslie Neilson. Forward roll. He can do that. This. Hup, boom. Bobby Sargent. Bobby Sargent is the double. Pops in. Look at the timing. The timing is magnificent. This is all Bobby. Turning, flip, bang, flat. Boom, straight up in the air. That is absolutely stunning. I really don't think I've ever seen it better. He just knows. Oof. He just knows exactly where. Brilliant. Now, jumping Her Majesty. Here's a great moment. That's Paul Barber and Leslie Hoffman, who's doubling Jeanette Charles. There's a cable underneath that table which is pulling them along the length. They're always going to land in exactly the same space. They've got a little harness on, and he goes right the way to the end. Bang, there's the press. But the cable is attached to the other end, and they're going in the opposite direction. It's a very clever shot. There's Leslie and Ricardo Montalban, who plays the villain. The base brawl, well, there's always some sort of base brawl. Look, the brings a chair in, smash. That is Bobby Sargent as well, getting knocked down. That's a really nice little gag. The standoff at the end, I think this is, again, fabulous. Stuns him. Don't worry, it's just stun him. And he falls over the edge. Terry Jackson does the fall. And then OJ gets fired. Quite right. The less we say about OJ, the better. But this is a dummy. And it goes down the stairs, bang, and hits the cannon on the end and fires it right through the air. Perfect way to go. It's a joy. It's a joy from start to finish. There's some very clever stuff going on. Great doubling work. Lots of lovely little background action. The two-man switch. How many times have we talked about the two-man switch and remind you that it's massively important to do whatever you can do in camera? That's key. If you could nowadays, of course, nobody bothers. There are situations where you have, and this had got a fairly hefty budget, and it made a huge amount of money, but it had got a fairly hefty budget, and they're still doing it in camera. CONRAD PALMISANO is of an ilk whereby he does stuff for real. That whole phrase about doing stuff for real, which was kind of coined by the Bond movie Casino Royale, and the idea of doing it for real. We've got to do it for real. They were doing it for real. They had been doing it for real for 40, 50, 60 years. CONRAD PALMISANO had worked his way through the ranks, had got to the stage where he was a reliable, dedicated source that knew what to do in a situation, knew, looking as second unit director or looking at it from a coordinator's point of view, or both as he was on many of these, was able to look at that scene, at that script and go, I know what I'm going to do here. And the director would give him enough to be able to go, okay, go and do it. I know what I want, but this is an action sequence. They've got dialogue to deliver, which they will deal with. Leslie Neilson and dialogue and that deadpan thing with George Kennedy, and it's beautifully done. But there are moments whereby all you want to do is that you just want the action to flow, and it does throughout this, and it's absolutely lovely. And CONRAD PALMISANO is fully aware of what is required and is able to do stuff in camera. That little sequence where, there's the Bobby Heron as the doctor runs out to stop the car. Frank Drebin then jumps from the ladder that he's getting down and lands behind the car, and Leslie Neilson pops up. It's the two-man switch. It happens so many times during the picture, and it happens again later on. That whole sequence where he's mooching his way around the flat, the apartment, and he's diving here, and it's the timing. Stuntman lands, up gets Neilson. It's beautifully done. You really could struggle to find anywhere where it is better done than that. I think it's absolutely remarkable. Leslie Neilson is such a loss, not only to the film business, but his comic chops and timing are spectacular. And I think we should salute him. CONRAD PALMISANO is no longer with us either. It's a great shame. So wherever you are, my friend, we salute you, and we hope that all of you have enjoyed all of that. And don't forget to check out the trailer if you haven't seen it, but get yourself some tickets for The Naked Gun. Liam's in it. See, this is the thing. This is the thing for me. I've said it before. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again. Love Leslie Neilson. Love the Naked Gun movies. Love Liam Neeson. Love his stuff. Those two things, they should never be meeting. They should never be arriving in the same place at the same time, and yet here they are. And part of me says, oh no, don't ruin it. And part of me cannot wait to see the movie. So I am on tenterhooks. I'm probably as excited as I am to see Mission Impossible, the last Mission Impossible. I'm very, very excited to see that. I'm very excited to see Naked Gun. I cannot wait. And I sincerely hope that everything turns out marvellously and that it's absolutely perfect from start to finish. Because if it isn't, I should be back complaining about it, and you'll get to know about it first. Right, that's about it for this week. Thank you very much indeed for stopping by. Next week we are in, we're in that sort of territory. We're in Final Destination territory. We're in Final Destination 2, to be exact. We're going to look at that car crash because it's magnificent. And there's a couple of lovely little bits and pieces, a couple of interesting stories too. So we're going to have a look at that. And then with a bit of luck, the week after that, or the week during that, anyway, so we may have to run it based on release dates. But the new Tom Hardy picture, Havoc, comes out. And I get an opportunity to be part of the press junket and have a quick word with the stunt coordinator, Jude Poyer, who will be joining me for a bit of a chat. So we get a chance to do that. And don't forget to catch up on all the social medias and subscribe if you don't already do so. You know what to do. Wednesday for the podcast, Friday for the YouTube show. And until next time, it's bye for now.